Hello everyone, this is Charlotte, and this is a podcast called Chatting in Cars. It's where I talk about random topics pulled out of a hat or a baggie, and I drive to work talking about them at random points and discussing weird, in-depth things about other things that got nothing to do with the initial topics, essentially. There's a disclaimer at the start of this podcast. I do swear a lot. I talk about sensitive topics, and they're overlapping sensitive topics, so be prepared to hear about a lot of weird shit. I also have a stutter, so if anyone ever sees me stuttering in public, just whack me on the back of the head. I'm fine with that. Hopefully it resets it like a jukebox. Now, the topic for today is change. I know what did I do yesterday? Growth. Growth is a form of change. Change is inevitable. And as an autistic person, it fucking sucks. But, we gotta deal with that shit, right? There's nothing wrong with change. I mean, there's always obviously bad change, which no one seems to like, or perceived bad change, I should say. It's only in a perception that we see it as bad, really. If you look at it, every bad experience is a lesson for growth. There's a chance for something to be rebuilt or renewed or recreated in a different structure, which makes sense or could be refined. Nothing is really that bad. I do a lot of different things like in spiritualist terms, like tarot. You've got one card in the deck. Oh, actually, there's a few cards in the deck that resonate with change. The main one being the Tower and death. Everyone sees the death card and shits themselves. It's like, oh, it's devil, it's death. It's not, dude. It just means change. Okay, so change is inevitable. It's going to happen anyway. You're just going to have to suck it up and get on with it. But they shit themselves. It just means something coming to an end. And it's okay for shit to come to an end. Some shit needs to come to an end because it's toxic as fuck. What are you doing, dude? Sorry, I've just got people parking in the worst spot in the bus trying to get around them. But the death card is not a problem. It just means an end. People are terrified of it. But then again, people are terrified of death as well. There's another card in there called the Devil. Also, not a bad thing. Not entirely bad. It just means you've got a trapped mindset. You're stuck in one way of thinking. It just means if you got the Tower and the Devil, then it's time to start changing your mind about shit. It's like people are just very odd when it comes to that stuff. Always extreme versions of negativity. So you think about it, it's just change. The other thing is the Tower. I know I already mentioned the Tower. That again is extreme change. That's extreme and sudden change, which is not a bad thing either. It just means that something you've been doing has not been working well for you. So the universe has stepped in and said, like, fuck it, we're dropping it for you. And some people are unwilling to let that tower drop. So they cling on to it and it's killing them, or it's toxic as fuck, or it's hurting them. And the universe just goes, you know what, fuck it, I'm gonna do it for you. Here's a tower, I'll drop your life out your ass. Because you didn't listen the first time, sort of thing. So when you start noticing shit going wrong, and you think, oh, that's annoying, or oh, that's an inconvenience, you might want to start assessing early what might be the bad parts about this, or what am I doing in this that's not quite right, or can I restructure this? People will cling on to shit and keep going with it, like banging their head against the fucking wall, just to make a point, just to say this is what we're doing. And I've done it myself. I'm guilty of it myself. I will stick with things until they are damn near killing me. And then only when it goes absolutely tits up and nothing is working and I'm dropping everything, do I go, hey, maybe we should try something else. I'm terrible with that. I overcommit to some circumstances. I'm avoidant of others, but very weirdly. It's a weird contrast. What else is there? What can I say? What else is in the tarot deck? This is what I'm familiar with at this point. I've been looking into it. Changes in pentacles. People are mostly concerned about changes in pentacles, I think. But this day and age, with the recession looming, yet another one, I can understand why people are worried about their money. Everything's temporary, though, right? There's no point getting attached to things. Don't get attached to the negative things, particularly, unless you want to learn from them, which is nothing wrong with that. Everything is a learning experience. Maybe this time you don't go buy a jet ski if you ever get some money again. It's like, no, we learned from that the last time. Turns out my mortgage is more important. I know when we had the last big recession ages ago, actually, come to think of it, the the government gave us all, I think it was 800 or something like that, about $1,000 to boost the economy. It was meant to make us go out and spend and buy things to sort of promote business and encourage the economy to grow in the area. I put it into my credit card. I'm not stupid, but I'm like, I already pre-spent this money. I'm bailing myself out of a horrible situation. So that's what I'm doing with my change money. But at the same time, people went out and they bought, as you do, jet skis apparently. These are people who have never really had money, so they thought, what I'm going to buy that's fucking ridiculous, because this is free money and I'm going to waste it, essentially. A large chunk of them did. I don't think all of them did, but what you do afterwards, when you get back to your regular payments and things like that, you start reassessing what you actually purchased. And a lot of people, you'll find, after that recession sort of leveled out again, they were selling things like boats and jet skis and giant TVs and things like this, and you're going, why did you buy that in the first place, you crazy fucker? I mean, who honestly needs this? The impracticality of that situation was hilarious to watch. And who's going to buy a jet ski when everybody's leveled out and nobody wants it? So it was fascinating to watch these people's buying habits, I should say. I mean, ultimately, human condition wants stability. Even in biological terms, we want homeostasis, which is maintaining a level of survival, basically. It's just keeping your body in a natural state that promotes survival, which is like, not having toxins in the body or not being overexerted, or your body's going to find easy ways to cut energy expenditure. For example, when you're in the gym, we're all trying to change, well, I would assume some of us are trying to change our body. Some people go for fun. I go for fun a bit. I go to treat my PTS, but I also go for fun a bit because it's just a toy to me. Some people hate the gym. I like it. I get my music, got my piggy tails in, I got my bopping along to, like metal. But, we're all going to change. We're trying to change. Maybe we want to lose some fat, maybe we want to grow some muscle, maybe we want to do this. But your body's sitting there going, I don't like change. It's stressing me out. It's got the ultimate anxiety disorder, the human body. I'm going to, ditch as much liability as I can. So if I'm growing muscle and if I'm doing cardio at the same time, sorry, my voice is going, I'm going to lose as much muscle as I can to ensure that the body stays at a proper rate of expenditure so that we don't go into starvation mode and die, essentially. So if you do excessive amounts of cardio whilst also lifting, you'll find that your muscle density will probably go down. Having said that, it's easy to gain fat that way as well. So what I do is I do lifting, but then I also do like slow cardio. I just go for a wander, slow and extensive, so it doesn't stress out the body too much. The muscle stays. There's not a lot of lactic buildup, but at the same time, I'm burning the excessive calories, which are in the form of my fat. So I'm leaning out while I'm also maintaining my muscle. Some people do running after lifting. I think they're insane. I'm surprised they don't pass out because your body's going, this is too much stress, this is too much change, I'm going to pass the fuck out. So anyone who's done like leg day and has that jelly walk afterwards, you might have overdone it. If you were trying to do some kind of muscle growth, or if you're just trying to burn some fat, you might have overdone it with the leg day if you get jelly legs and that, because your muscles are fucked up, your lactic acids are taking over, and that is a little bit too much change for the human body. Hence the reason it's going into sort of forced relaxed mode. Hence the reason you can't stand up. It's going, this is too much, I'm just going to pass the fuck out. Yeah, so jelly legs, lactic acid, your nerves are fried, you're not going to be able to stand up. That's why you can't stand up after leg day. You're also going to get delayed muscle soreness the next day, maybe the next day after that, which again is your body going, this is too much for me, I can't handle this. So the body's a bit sensitive, really. But that kind of change is good because you want the muscle growth, you want I don't know, maybe you want to change your appearance, maybe you want to change your ability. It's all change and it's good for you. You need to stress the body out just a little bit, because if it becomes complacent, if it gets squidgy and not used and the muscles become weak, then it's not going to be good for you. Your bone density is going to go down as well. It's a painful change for some. Some people really hate the gym. I don't mind it. I'm in the weird mindset where it's just a game to me. So I'm going to go lift some weird weights wearing bright pink and pissing off all the manly men who are peacocking because they think they're doing something fantastic. It's a weird thing for me. With my pigtails doing exactly what they're doing is a joke. But, you know, so they all think they're hardcore and it's fun to watch. And then you go and outlift them and it's hilarious whilst you're wearing bright pink. You know, I look like Hello Kitty personified, yeah? You ever seen Hello Kitty? It's brilliant. I'm sitting there out deadlifting them, squatting them. It's fucking hilarious. They got this weird mindset where they have to look a particular way and act a particular way in the gym as well. And it's not just etiquette, it's you know, toxic masculinity saying you have to not enjoy the gym because it's a horrible thing. You got to be angry all the fucking time because your aggression gets you somewhere. It's like, no, I'm perfectly calm and I'm using good form and I'm wearing bright pink and I'm bopping along and I'm happy in the gym. And I think it pisses them off and I love it. So I'm going to keep doing that. Oh no, I'm such a naughty person. Anyway, yeah, change is good, dude. Think about, I don't know, I keep harking back to it, like shit relationships. If you're stuck with someone, but you can't let go because you're stuck in the familiar, that's the devil card. That's a prison of the mind. You can't stay in that position because it is toxic and it is killing you. And you'll find it affects your body and your psychological health and all kinds of things. It's just generally bad for you. You need that tower card. You need something big to hit you in the fucking face and say, this is not working, this is not good enough. It's time for change. And people ignore it. They ignore the red flags. They ignore all the horrible shit that happens to them. This person cheating on them. This person using all their money up. Or this person making them homeless. And they just ignore it because they brush it under the rug thinking, oh, it's just that person. Oh, it's you know. This is the universe saying, don't fucking do this. This person is bad. These circumstances are bad. Everything is going bad. Okay, and I'm not in a negative way, just in a kind of change way. You know? I'm not saying that the universe is some pessimistic asshole. I'm saying that it's highlighting the obvious. It's very much a realist sort of, you know, this isn't working. Let's try something else. But you're like, no, it's good. I'm going to keep going with it. It's like, no, you're fucking not. Because this shit's going to end in about a week and you're fucked. So she will give you hints as to where you're going with this. If it doesn't feel right, start looking at what doesn't feel right. It's like when you're injuring yourself, right? Physically, this is the 3D version. You injure yourself, you pulled your back or something, yeah? You don't then go and do fucking deadlifts. You let it go. You sit down, you get some heat packs and some fucking, I don't know, Tiger Balm or something, you know? You rub your shit on that. Not actual shit, that would be weird. But, you know, you stop, don't you? If you've hurt something, you freeze. The first instinct is to freeze. That's the change that you needed to recognize that. That didn't work. I just pulled my bag out and now I'm fucked and I can't move. Welcome to being over 30. But, you know, it's instant change. That's very basic biological change there. That's your body going, fuck this. This plan sucked. I regret. Instant regret. But some people need that kick in the balls, you know, for life. They're looking at shit going, I don't know, I bet I could reason it out. And it's like, no, you can't fucking reason it out. This is why you're having a nervous breakdown at 30 and your life's falling apart, because you keep sticking with shit that is just not working, trying to make it work. And I've done it myself. I tried to make a horrible marriage work. I tried to make a uni degree work with a person that was just a piece of shit who didn't want me to pass anyway, I can tell, because I was competition, and it's all kinds of things like that. And we stick with it and we're trying to force it into this fucking shape, you know, like fart putty. And what happens when you shove fart putty into a container? It makes a fucked up noise and goes everywhere. And it's still not structurally sound. It's like, you fucking son of, you know, and you're trying so hard to get it into this fucking container and it's just not working. I love fart putty. Anyway, so it's a good analogy. We're going with it. But you can't force shit. Some shit cannot be forced. Some shit can be forced. But it ain't gonna turn out well in the end. You know, look at IKEA furniture. I'm gonna force this fucking screw in and it's going in. And we all get frustrated. We've gone through the instructions, we counted all the bits, we're getting up to the bit where it counts, and the fucker still won't work. And we're following the rules and it still won't work. So we get frustrated and jam the fucking screwdriver in, right? Fuck IKEA. No, I love IKEA. But you know, we're trying so hard to make shit work, and sometimes we just got to relax and go, all right, this is fucked. I'm going to drill another hole, and hopefully this time it'll work, right? Okay, or we're going to try something else. Or we're just going to take it back and say, hey, your product's faulty, fuck you, give me a new one. If you want to be particularly carrion and aggressive about it. I wouldn't do that with the universe. She might get a bit irate and you might lose everything. So, temperamental mum up there, you know. Don't piss her off. But you know, yeah, you gotta pick your battles, right? That's the saying. Pick your battles. Some shit is not worth keeping, not worth holding on to. And we should be also like always promoting change, I think. I mean, some people are so stuck in tradition and getting, you know, just getting into a rut that they say this is how it has to happen, this is how it has to be. I mean, at the moment we're looking at the royal family, or I am, because I'm watching it fascinating. I've unfollowed a shitload of their stuff though, because I'm not particularly impressed by the current situation. I prefer when it was the Queen and Philip, and that's about it actually. I like Diana as well, she was good, but I don't like the others. I find them very peacocky and just in it for the PR and the updates, which gives me the shits. It sort of undermines any kind of moral message they're trying to promote. But that's me. I've got my own bits and pieces to deal with. But the current situation is, they were saying that the Queen had this approach to the monarchy where it was sort of antiquated and stuck in the 50s and everybody's sort of, it wasn't updated. But if you look at the details of what she was doing, she was actually pretty progressive for her age, particularly with things like apartheid and, you know, women's rights and things like that. I mean, she was a woman in power. Of course she was going to be sticking up for women's rights. She's not going to, you know, defer to a man. There's all kinds of things like that. If you look carefully at the detail, she wanted sort of, what was it? She encouraged Hong Kong to have her independence, even though China took over and it led to riots and all kinds of fucked up stuff. But, you know, she still sort of promoted that progressive forward thinking. She wasn't stuck in the 50s. She represented the ideals of the day. But these days, you know, when Charles came into whatever fuck he's doing, he did take some weird alternative routes to certain things, like alternative medicine, aromatherapy and stuff like that. Some people looked at him like he was fucking crazy. I'm going, yeah. I think that's kind of shit that you keep to yourself. It's not really in line with, you know, running a country, but not like they're running a country really. They're just sort of face of it, I guess, and promoting tourism. There's not much they actually do. So I don't know where that's going. But he said when he gets into it, the big thing about now is change is coming and they're going to reshuffle everyone. And you just got, I think it's about 500 people or something just lost their job because he didn't like the idea of the way it was structured. I'm sitting going, we're in the middle of a fucking recession, dude. There's an economic crisis in your country, the one that you're supposed to represent and love, and you just fired a bunch of people, made them possibly homeless. I don't know. Is that something you want to represent? So that kind of a change gets up my arse. It's like, in order to make himself look good, although it didn't help him look good because you just made yourself look like an asshole. A bunch of people lost their jobs and livelihoods, and you don't fuck with the people's pay. That's a given. You don't fuck with people's pay. They need that. As a working person, we need our fucking pay, right? So that kind of change pissed me off. Going, that's the wrong change, jackass. What you should be doing is creating more jobs. You've got a fucking multi-billion-dollar estates just in the back fucking yard. It's like, you've got homeless people on your front doorstep. Make the fucking connection, jackass. You've got to be plenty stupid not to recognize that change needs to happen. But he's so caught up in the, you know, what do they call it, upper crust, bourgeoisie lifestyle that he just doesn't reckon these people just don't exist to them. It's like you've never met them. You might meet them on a day out to promote your cause, but to actually live amongst them and to deal with the situations they've had to deal with. I've been homeless, I've been to food banks, I've been unemployed and in debt and all these horrible fucking things that everybody goes through, or a large chunk of people, not everyone, but a large chunk of people go through in a day. And to be able to live in it and recognize that this change needs to fucking happen, and I've lived it and I had it full in my face, in my life, in my fucking bones. It's like, that's the kind of people we need in positions of power. And I'm not saying I need to run for president. I don't want to. It's a sham. But, you know, they need to really get involved with, if you're saying that you're going to lead a people, then fucking be of them, dude. Don't distance yourself in an ivory tower and say, I know what the people need. It's like, you don't fucking know what they need. You don't need what they want. You don't know what changes they're going through that they can't fucking handle. Or they're having trouble handling, you know? It's just nastiness. It's conceited nastiness. And in all to make themselves look good. It's like, oh, look how wonderful I am. What do they call it? Virtue signaling. It's like where they'll do good deeds, but they'll make sure the camera's on them. It's like, no, that's not good deeds. Good deeds is done unseen. You only see the end result. You see people getting looked after, not with a name attached to it, but because it needs to be done. It's the right thing to do. You don't have to take a fucking picture of yourself, right? These problems need fixing. I don't give a fuck who fixes them, but they need fixing. Please don't bring your fucking camera crew. It's, you know, it kind of cheapens the experience, you know, when you're sitting there promoting yourself as a result of other people's human tragedies, right? Oh my God, isn't that wonderful? We're handing out bananas. It's like, fuck off, dude, I'm homeless. I don't care about the fucking banana. Give me the banana. Give me more bananas, you little bitch. We all know who I'm talking about. The dreaded Markle. I can solve world hunger by handing out bananas. Or what was it, sex ed or something shit like that? I'm going, fucking hell, mate. You got no grasp of reality at all, have you? Have you ever lived amongst these people? Do you know what they really need? What change they're really facing that's painful? I don't know, dude. I'm going on a rant. Okay, change the topic. We're going to stick with change, though. But, and as I said before, like goal setting is probably the best thing we can do. If you want to direct your path towards some kind of positive change, productive change being the operative word, it helps to set goals. And you're going to find yourself in a shitload of bad situations in life. It's just part of life. I mean, we all go, oh, that's horrible, it's tragic, oh, shit. Oh, it's not right. And the reality situation, yeah, it's probably not right. But for this time and place, and this context, and these events that are occurring, this is what it is. It is what it is. We deal with what it is while we can deal with what it is. I had this massive argument with my ex-boyfriend at one point because I have been raped. I've been sexually assaulted, and I said, the girls we were hanging around with needed to cover up a bit because, you know, guys will take advantage of them. He took the route that girls should be able to wear whatever the fuck they want. And I agree, they should. Anyone should be wearing whatever the fuck they want. It's a piece of cloth, I don't give a fuck. What I'm saying is their behaviors and the way they were throwing themselves at guys in a means to get approval. They might not have wanted to shag him, but the way they were approaching guys was inappropriate. And if they got sexually assaulted, and people are going to hate me for that because it's like, guys shouldn't do that, guys don't care. It's like, no, but not all guys are going to sexually assault someone, but at the same time, there is always going to be one, isn't there? There's always one. Same as not everyone's a serial killer, but there's always going to be one, you know? So we've got to take that factor into consideration. So we don't put it out there. We don't know which one. And it sounds horrible because I'm speaking partly from a place of, you know, being sexually assaulted myself and trauma and being a girl in general. We've had that fear instilled in us from a young age that men are potentially predatory and we need to be careful. It's horrible. We don't go walking at night. We don't go to pubs on our own. And it's horrible because it shouldn't be that way. We should be able to do the same things as guys do, but we need to be protective. If a fight breaks out, we need to be protected. So we're smaller. I get that. I have no problem with that. That is what it is, biologically. I don't care about that. I'm still going to lift weights. I'm still going to do as much as I can to get to the equal level of guys. And change comes from, you know, recognizing that we don't like these kinds of behaviors. But we had a full-blown argument about this thing, and he told me off, essentially, even though I was coming from a place. I'm saying, look, dude, I've been sexually assaulted, I've been raped, I know what it is. And that's one of the reasons I fucking left him at the time, because he has no sympathy for it. It's like, I was saying, this is what I've been through. Listen to me. This is why I'm trying to get this across to you. And I suppose he won't know until he's been sexually assaulted himself, but... Oh, hello. Sorry, hot guy. I'm a red-blooded female, or maybe blue-blooded, who knows. But he just couldn't get my viewpoint. And I'm speaking from experience, and I know what leads to the circumstances where you would get sexually assaulted, because we've had it our entire lives. I've lived it. That kind of change I wouldn't wish on anyone. The change where you are taken into a situation where you have no control and you're abused and you're taken advantage of, and all these horrible things, and you live with the trauma afterwards and having to go get, STD checks afterwards and all this fucked up stuff. But some things are as they are, and we need to accept that is what it is. And that's okay. We can aim for change in those areas, absolutely, definitely. But the reality of the situation, we're going to take a realist note on this. And what's horrible is sometimes we do progress and we do make change, and it's positive change. I'm looking at Iran right now. Back in the 70s in Iran, they were very up to date, very westernized. It wasn't until, I think it was different type of political system got in power. I got to remember what it is. I haven't really studied Middle Eastern politics, but I know that they changed political parties. And all the women in that country went from the westernized dress and culture and things like that back into that particular political approach, right? Where they were back into full cover-up and something, I want to say something about law, Shari law or something like that. I could be wrong. I'm not going to stand on that entirely, but I know they went a different way. I couldn't say it's backwards, but I will say it's a different way. And it didn't, in our westernized viewpoint, it doesn't seem right, obviously. In a maybe Middle Eastern viewpoint, maybe it does. But I know that right now they're getting pissed off and they're having riots about wearing burqas and things like that, and headdresses and things like that. And it's the approach that particular same political party is taking towards the treatment of women that's causing this backlash. And so maybe we might look at this and say, this is a change. This is the universe saying you need to change this. This is what it is. It's like this system of what some would deem oppression, some would deem religious sanctity. I don't know. Some people are into different things. Everybody's different. But it's different for everyone. So sorry, I'm just getting lost in the back streets of my own neighborhood. But, it's not for everyone. Some change is needed. I think overall, women just want the option in that circumstance to wear a headdress or not to wear a headdress without some kind of police turning up and bundling them off into a van, It's very... they do it in China as well with people who just disagree with the political system, and Russia, and it's all these countries that are trying to rule people by force. It takes away the humanity of the situation. We need to recognize that kind of change needs to occur. Basic human rights. We started the Geneva Convention for a reason. We saw things that were horrible. We wanted to change it, make it better for everyone. I would assume that was the purpose of it. We were hoping, maybe, in a generalized term, that everyone would join in and then promote this niceness, what we deem to be a niceness. Of course, we've got to look at it critically. Not everybody's niceness is the same as everyone else's. But hopefully it was presented as the better option compared to, all kinds of, war crimes and stuff. But that's a positive change that we were aiming for. There's also a negative change. I mean, look at, I don't know, Hitler goose-stepping across fucking Poland. I mean, that was an incredibly bad idea in the end. At the time, I don't know who was on board, but, I get a strong feeling there was a lot of propaganda that was pushing the German people at the time into believing it was the best way forward, the same way that Putin's feeding his own people at the moment propaganda. What he didn't factor in is that current times there is external media to his regime. And so the Russian people are not only getting the crap that he's feeding them, they're also getting the external party, the alternative view. So they're trying to make it up for themselves to understand what's going on. Back in World War II era, it wasn't really the same kind of global communications. Like, they've got fed what was issued by the state. So what they might have seen as good change, that sort of, creating some kind of Übermensch, Aryan weird shit. Although Hitler was half Jewish or something anyway, so I don't know what the fuck he was going on about. Google that. I'm encouraging that. So he's a bit of a hypocrite. And a crazy fucker. But, they were being fed this ideal that was unrealistic. And of course, if you want to take the intentionalist approach, it was a situation where he intended to wipe out a bunch of people. If you took the structuralist approach. It was him kick-starting a game where we needed something to happen, and the means to an end would be to eliminate a shitload of people in a mass genocide. Either way is evil. You don't really get a choice with that. You shouldn't be eliminating masses of people. It's not what we're about anymore. It's not human. It's considered very evil to do. And it was based on eugenics, which was nothing to do with wiping out people. It was more to do with crossbreeding to promote life. Taking the stronger aspects of each genetic pool and trying to push it forward to promote a healthier lifestyle. That was it. The Übermensch was supposed to be a more positive thing. He took it and started saying, well, I don't like your genes, so I'm going to eliminate your people. It doesn't work that way. That was someone taking an idea, and not necessarily a good idea, not necessarily a bad idea, and then taking it and just running with it in an evil, manipulative way to suit his own means. And people have been doing that for centuries. It's bad change. That's never been a good change. Because it's pain and it's torture and it's cruelty and it's all kinds of horrible things, and we've lost a shitload of someone's culture. And it wasn't just Jewish people, it was gay people, disabled people, it was all kinds of people that got really fucked by that regime, and that's why it is perceived to be so fucking evil. Everyone got tainted by that. It wasn't just a small group of people, it was parents and cousins and children and pregnant women and all kinds of people. Everybody in society got touched on in that. In the Jewish Holocaust, we can recognize that everyone who was represented in any kind of generic society was touched on by that Holocaust. You had everyone getting fucked. If you stand up and say, I'm representing women, women got fucked over. If you stand up representing lower class men, men got fucked up. Everybody got fucked, which is why it's considered so fucking evil. It wasn't just the Jewish culture. It was everyone. That is the worst kind of change you can imagine, which makes it so horrible to humanity that we never want that shit to happen again. So when Putin stands up and says, we're attacking Nazis, it's like, first of all, where the fuck were the Nazis? Because nobody knows about any kind of fucking Nazis in the Ukraine. It's like there's a large chunk of them that are Jewish in there, I've noticed. I'm going, why? That doesn't make sense. So he's constructed this reality to suit his means. He's saying, I've got an idea, I'm going to run with it. And to be honest, I think he's got fucking dementia, but he's of that age where you go, this guy needs to retire and go fishing. But, that's negative change. So at what point do we start cutting off change and saying, hey, you've had your turn. Now we need to start sorting out some other way of doing this. We've stuck, honestly, I think he's trying to relive the Soviet era. He's got it on his bucket list, and he's just sticking with it, but it doesn't seem to make sense because it's out of context now. Nobody wants it. Even the Russian people are looking at him like he's fucking crazy. It's like, all we want to do is build our economy again, you fucker. This is what you promised us when we were in the Soviet Union. And it never happened because they were constantly picking fights with people. So even the Russian people, the boomer generation that went through the Soviet Union and USSR, are looking at him like he's a crazy fuck. It's like they don't want it. And we can all get angry at the Russians, but at the same time, it's like, just recognize that it's one person standing up and picking a fight because he's got insecurities with the fucking Western countries. It's a pissing competition between aged white men. It's like everyone else is looking at them like fucking crazy because we're all leaning towards sort of more liberalist views now. It's like nobody's got that conservatist, I'm going to say it right in a minute, forcing shit to happen because they want it to happen kind of ways. Everyone's like, okay, this doesn't really work for me, but I'm willing to tolerate what you do. Some might say it's a softer view, but at the same time, there's also softness. There's strength in softness. If you're willing to be soft and still, punch through or persist whilst being soft, that's still a blessing. It's not a weakness in the slightest. I'm sorry, I'm going off on a fucking political tangent again. So I'm going to have to leave it there. But the thing to take away from this is not all change is bad. Some is needed. It is absolutely okay to change. Don't be afraid of change. Just look at the Tower card. The Tower reversed is growth. It's growth. The Death card reversed is a new beginning. Just understand there's two sides to the coin. It might seem terrible right now, but the good news is that The next stage is pushing forward. It is promoting. It is blessed achievement and growth. It's not something that's going to stay in the horrible. There's always a next chapter. Even when you die, the next chapter is, I don't know, rebirth or something, right? It's depending on what the person is. We just got to take it easy and start relaxing a bit more. I'm not saying go the whole half-assed route. I'm saying just don't get attached to shit that is just toxic as fuck and you know is going to undermine you for the sake of saying, I'm not a quitter. Okay? You got to take it easy, dude. Okay? So it is Tuesday. I'm going to have to leave it there, and I hope you guys have a fantastic day, okay? Take it easy. Remember that change is a blessing. It's not a curse. It feels like a curse at the time, but it's good for you. We all need a change, okay? It might be a bad change, but it's a reshuffling. It's not a problem. Everything turns out in the end, okay? All's well that ends well, right? Okay, and I'll see you tomorrow, okay?